to join the Fever and something. What's special about this opportunity for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm really excited. I had some stint there at Golden State and it was a great time. So yeah, went over, played with Australia, won a gold there, and that was great. So just to be back in the W and have another crack is really exciting. Really grateful for this opportunity here with the Fever, and just
weeks after she dominated them with game-winning three-pointers, the Indiana Fever made an incredible call to a gamer in China who was located halfway around the globe, assigned former competitor Chloe Bai to a high-stakes 7-day contract because their star player, Caitlin Clark, was out due to injury, and the team's hopes of winning a championship were rapidly dwindling. However, this wasn't merely a last-ditch effort to cover a roster place. It was a calculated risk that exposed a covert scheme to address the team's most deadly weakness. One thing that may make all the difference is this.
Big news, breaking news, Chloe Bibby, who was recently on the Golden State Valkyries, has been signed to the Indiana Fever. This is not a huge surprise to me. I have mentioned it in multiple videos. She was doing really well with the Valkyries. I think she was only with them for about 5 games, while a lot of their players went over to
signing. The tale of how it occurred is even more bizarre than you might imagine. The story behind it is even more bizarre than you might imagine. This story starts in a hotel room in China. Halfway across the world, rather than
I remember about Chloe was the fact that she could shoot, right? That's the main thing I remember about her. Watching her games with the Valkyries, if y'all don't remember that, she was on the Valkyries. I think she played for the preseason and she got signed again, didn't play like 5 games. She finished with like 42% shooting from the 3. So she could hit, man. She could really hit.
Chloe Bibby, the newest member of the Indiana Fever, you know, her fit and whether she's a long-term fit for the Fever remains to be seen. But on the surface, on paper, it makes a lot of sense. Because this is a team that has been in dire need of, in my opinion, of a stretch 4. And that is what Bibby, skill set wise, is capable of doing. We don't have a huge sample size to work with. Obviously, she had a short spurt with
Indianapolis. That's where Australian Chloe Bai received the call that would alter her life. She was going through the tumultuous journey of an international basketball star. She's managing her career abroad, acclimating to several time zones and cultures. The next time, she's being called up to play for the WNBA's most scrutinized and followed team. No time was available for processing, packing appropriately, or taking a flight back to Australia for a short break. She left everything behind, took the first flight that was offered, and started the exhausting trek to America. It felt like a haze because the action was so quick, an adrenaline-fueled frenzy of airports and jet lag. It is extremely uncommon to be willing to uproot your entire life in a few hours in order to try your hand at a 7-day contract. It illustrates the Fever's dire need for resilience and hunger. Additionally, it displays a player who has spent her entire
I remember specifically her shooting. She was shooting that thing, man. She was stretching the floor, and the Indiana Fever needs that. They need somebody that can help stretch that floor, make it more dangerous at that perimeter, make the defense respect that perimeter just as much as they respect the paint presence, right? So she can help with that.
There were a lot of fans where the Fever are too slow. They want to play slow it down, grind it out basketball. Doesn't seem that way. Doesn't seem that way by the player they just signed and the messaging that is going across there. So that has to be reassuring for a lot of the fans. And Chloe Bibby seems to have a good head on her shoulders.
Her career fighting for this moment. However, this wasn't only a haphazard addition to the roster. The Fever had witnessed her gift firsthand, and they discovered it in the most agonizing manner imaginable. Chloe P gave the Indiana Fever an audition a few weeks before to that pivotal call, but they didn't even know she was taking. Playing under a temporary hardship contract with the Golden State Valkyries, she faced the team that would eventually become her home when she took the court. She completely set them on fire. She made clutch 3-pointers and dropped 12 points. In just 24 minutes of play, leaving a lasting impression with her composed, seasoned confidence. Although she was their opponent, she was also solving their largest on-court issue in real time, right in front of them. The kind of audacious, brazen performance that causes a front desk to take note and mutter, "Why isn't she on our team?"
Anna Turner is over there collecting dust. We need somebody off the bench that can come in with some size and rain threes until Damaris' dentist shot begins to fall, and we go out and we get one, Chloe Bibby. Last time we saw Chloe Bibby, she dropped 12 points against the Indiana Fever. Wait for it, in her WNBA debut. She shoots over 40% from the field. She shoots over 40% from three.
With all these Waves players, I kept saying there was one player that the Indiana Fever needed to sign, and today it happened. That's right, the Indiana Fever have officially signed Chloe Bibby. She showed up and showed out with all the teams that she was with in the preseason, especially with the Valkyries. And I kept saying she could spread the floor, she makes the three. She would be perfect, a perfect pickup for the Indiana Fever, except they took forever to sign her. So I was like, maybe.
It was one thing to score against them. Bibby provided the precise lethal weapon that was sadly absent from their arsenal. She wasn't merely trying to get a place on the Valkyries. Unaware of it, she was preparing for her future in Indianapolis. Every opponent has a fatal vulnerability in the offensive strategy used by the Indiana Fever. Been abusing. Defenses can collapse inward, erecting a wall around the hoop and stifling the attack when the amazing Aaliyah Boston dominates the paint. They have been in desperate need of a real stretch four player who can force defenders to be honest and drain threes from the outside, freeing up valuable room for everyone else. The missing component of the puzzle is Chloe Bibby at this point. Her three-point shooting percentage during her brief appearance with the Valkyries was an astounding 42.1%. That is not only a good statistic, it is a game-changing one. The secret that might unleash the full potential of Clark on the drive in Boston in the post is her ability to hit from on her.
Where were you when you got the news or got the call that the Fever were picking you up?
I was in China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how quickly were you, like, just scramble mode then coming over to the States, like pack a bag and go?
Well, yeah, I was already in, so I went from San Francisco to China, and so then I didn't really get to go back to Australia. So just from China, I was like, well, I already have some stuff back, so then just come back over here, back to America. So yeah, it was good. It all happened pretty fast, but
from deep consistently, turning a predictable attack into an unstoppable one. Even though her WNBA stats are remarkable considering how few minutes she played, they don't fully capture her personality. You have to consider what she was doing when she wasn't in the spotlight in America to fully see why her signing is such a potential gamicker. Chloe Bibby was secretly developing a covert resume as a global power before rejoining the WNBA. Although a lot of American fans, she was dominating abroad, so she might not have known her name. She wasn't merely a supporting player for Goraw Wyporski in Poland's premier professional league. She averaged an incredible 20.9 points and 5.9 rebounds per game, earning her the title of league's most valuable player. Her numbers were even more impressive when she faced the top players in Europe in the coveted Euro Cup. 22 points, 2.2 steals, and 7.7 rebounds per game. These are not merely reliable figures. These are superstar-level numbers that demonstrate her ability to lead an offense and support a squad. She wasn't merely a role player awaiting a promotion. She was a true star.
Bag and go.
well, yeah, I was already in, so I went from San Francisco to China, and so then I didn't really get to go back to Australia. So just from China, I was like, well, I already have some stuff back, so then just come back over here, back to America. So yeah, it was good. It all happened pretty fast, but as I said, super grateful for the opportunity.
Does it still feel chaotic now that you've been on a team for a day, or do you feel like a little bit settled now?
I feel a little bit settled. I have had a lot of sleep, which is great, so I think I've got over the jet lag a little bit, so feeling good.
You had the chance to go and play against this favorite team.
Yeah.
What kind of your impressions then, and how do you feel like you can fit into what they do are?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, really physical team, tough, fast-paced, and I like that fast, style. So I think that suits.
Perfecting her art on the global scene in preparation for the day when she would finally be recognized. However, earning prizes abroad is one thing. A distinct ego and mindset are needed to fit in with a team that includes a megastar like Caitlin Clark. The timing of this signing becomes extremely complex at that point. Interview 8.359.16. This decision is made at a time when the Fever are experiencing a great deal of uncertainty and circulating rumors. Caitlin Clark is at the momento sint due to a persistent groin injury, creating a huge void in the starting lineup and putting a great deal of strain on the remaining players. Meanwhile, former All-Star forward Brianna Turner, a veteran, has been noticeably gathering dust on the bench, raising awkward questions regarding the coaching choices and internal dynamics of the team. Bai enters this difficult situation by agreeing to a short-term, 7-day hardship contract.
I mean, it's a challenge always, anytime you're integrating, but I think at the position that she'll play for us, really being somebody that's in that stretch floor, middle of the floor, there's not a lot of nuance to how we'll use her. We'll shorten the playbook a little bit, make it specific to ways that we can continue to stretch the floor when we put her on the floor with AB.
Today you had a rare practice.
So, that is pretty straightforward and simple from head coach Stephanie White. When you hear her say she'll fit in next to AB, which means it seems like the plan for Bibby is to play in Aaliyah Boston minutes, where of course Aaliyah Boston is playing a lot of.
Which puts her future in jeopardy. Is she merely a temporary fix to help them get through Clark's absence? Or is this a crucial tryout for a long-term squad position? A move that might force another player out and indicate a significant change in the team's approach. Bibby is under constant scrutiny in this situation. With every minute of her play being examined, Coach Stephanie White, however, is not taking her integration lightly. Her plan is surprisingly straightforward and extremely clear. This was not an act of panic or desperation. Stephanie White, the head coach, disclosed a well-thought-out, nearly brilliant approach to quickly integrate, buy into the team. She informed reporters that the playbook would be purposefully condensed for her, keeping it straightforward and focused on her strongest points. Her role is very evident.
Because I truly didn't see who could fit the Indiana Fever system that was available that hasn't already been taken by other teams. It did end up being kind of like the obvious answer, which is Chloe Bibby, who again, I think is a good signing. I don't think is going to change the landscape of the Indiana Fever basketball. I do like that she's young. I do like that she has young legs. I love that she does fit into a more modern style of basketball, 6 foot, plays outside of the arc. So I am very, 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 very curious to see how—
Do your best work and be the stretch for a game with Aaliyah Boston. Shoot the 3 while extending the floor. She won't be able to pick up a complicated system overnight. She's not expected to change her approach. Getting her on the court and giving her the tools to have an instant effect is the aim. This clarity indicates that the coaching staff has chosen a player who is a perfect tactical match and accurately identified their particular weakness. It's a shrewd, decisive coaching tactic meant to produce results right away. While winning, a few games can be possible with a straightforward plan. Championship teams are constructed on more than just tactics. They are based on chemistry and, in this instance, a mutual rivalry. 2-5A, lost past is what makes this new collaboration the more alluring. Between the two players, Caitlin Clark and Chloe Bai were bitter rivals for years prior to their time as WNBA colleagues. In the fierce, high-stakes world of Big Ten college basketball, Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes and BBY's Maryland Terrapins squared off. They played against each other in fiercely contested matches in front of packed houses, each attempting to defeat the other. Their new partnership has an intriguing undertone from their past rivalry. Due to her prior experience and understanding of what it takes to compete at that level, Bibby has never been intimidated by Clark's talent, with two fierce rivals teaming up for a single objective, a WNBA championship. That old rivalry is now being revived as a partnership. At the most crucial juncture, their paths from rivals in college to professional teammates have finally come together. Many people have already begun to speculate that Caitlin Clark's injury is the reason of this. But keep in mind that they do have some additional cap room following the All-Star break, thus they could offer her a contract for the remainder of the year. What's probably going on is that she had some pretty fantastic games and displayed some really strong positive traits that any team would desire. But she was cut from the Valkyries after her hardship contract. To be honest, I'm shocked she hasn't been picked up. I thus assume that they believe they want to sign her for the remainder of the year. They are using this 7-day contract as a test to see how Caitlin performs, regardless of whether that means she is out or they simply want a 12th person. They have a few games in the near future. At least we know Caitlin is out. she was out last night and is most likely going to be gone all weekend. We don't know when she will return. College rivalries and individual stats are one thing, but a championship attitude is quite another. This is an intangible trait. It must be built via intense competitiveness under pressure. And Chloe Bai isolates herself precisely at that point. She has been a vital member of the Opals, the Australian national team, for many years, representing her country with pride on the largest stages in the globe. She played a key role in Australia's victories in the FIA World Cup and the FIA Women's Asia Cup, when they took home bronze and gold, respectively. It goes beyond simply playing well. It all comes down to understanding how to prevail when everything is on the line. She is aware that winning do-or-die elimination games requires selflessness, self-control, and unshakable calmness. Bai provides a significant dose of championship DNA to a young Indiana Fever club that is still learning how to win big games, a composed, seasoned presence that remains unfazed by the major events. Chloe Bai will move ahead of Brianna Turner if someone is looking at Stephanie White. Turner, in my opinion, will continue to gather dust. What keeps us on this team? The pushback following Brianna Turner's release is too much for the optics organization to handle. We must accept it. We must persevere through it. We were able to let her pick up that dust in her paycheck, which was allowed to keep the bench for longer. Dantas isn't making threes, although Chloe Bai isn't as tall as Dantas. She might be able to join Michaela Timpson at the 5 if we use a small ball lineup with Natasha Howard. We might be able to accomplish it. Perhaps we could give her the 5 and give Timpson a few more minutes. There's Ari McDonald there, along with Chloe Bai, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hall, or Kelsey Mitchell. Bibby's worth extends beyond her shooting and mindset. She is a tactical, quote, Swiss Army knife for Coach Stephanie White because of her adaptable frame, which stands at 6'2". She's more than just a shooter. She's a versatile chess piece that may be used in a variety of lineup configurations to give opponents nightmares during matches. She can play alongside Aaliyah Boston in a conventional lineup, using her shooting to draw a defender away from the paint. She can, however, go into a, quote, small ball lineup in a more contemporary fast-paced system, possibly with Michaela or Natasha Howard on at the 5. With several shooters on the court at once, this would make floor spacing a nightmare and make the Fever's offense extremely dynamic and nearly impossible to defend. Her coach can adjust on the fly thanks to her adaptability, which is a luxury that is crucial for a deep run at the championship. Ultimately, adding a player to a roster is just one aspect of the signing. Chloe Bai has the potential to be the Indiana Fever's pivotal player. Their season might be defined by this higher risk, higher reward bet. She is the sniper who gave her an audition by outperforming them, the international MVP with a covert resume, and the committed professional who traveled all over the world for a 7-day opportunity. She provides the veteran experience they need, the precise skill set they require, and a modest desire to establish herself on the grandest platform. The Fever have a strong basis in Boston and a transcendent superstar in Clark. They could have just discovered the last missing component needed to finish their championship jigsaw. But will Caitlin Clark's move be the one that gives them the title that everyone has been waiting for? Or is this a desperate attempt that comes too little too late? Now, the whole basketball community is keeping an eye out